All right, folks, so let's just review our angle relationships and a few examples before we take our quiz. So you have vertical angles. They create the X that you see, and they are opposite and equal. And then we just have, and this is not what you're going to see in a lot of things, but adjacent angles, remember, they just share a side. Complementary angles create that corner, remember complementary corner, and they add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles create that straight line, and they add up to 180 degrees. So now for some examples. If I am looking at any problem, I'm going to look for corners or right angles. I'm going to look for straight lines, or I'm going to look for an X created by vertical angles. So for this top one, this image is a right angle, so we know it equals 90 degrees. I want to know the value of X. So if I know that this angle EFH and this angle HFG equal 90, I know that something, the EFH, plus 12 equals 90. Take away 12, I get that angle is 78. But that's not my answer. I want to know X. So 78 equals 2X plus 6. Solve that equation, guys. I get 72 equals 2X. Divide by 2. X is 36. Okay? For the bottom problem, we know S, U, and TV intersect at point R. I'm trying to find X. So I'm looking at what it gives me, and I notice that they don't make a straight line, but they are opposites. So that means they're equal. So I'm going to say 75 equals 3X minus 15. Solve that equation, and you should get X equals 30. Okay? So this top problem, it says that they are supplementary. I know that that means they equal 180 degrees. So this JKM, that 3X, plus the MKL, 105, equal 180. Take away 105. 3X equals 75 degrees. Divide by 3. X is 25. For the bottom one, I am trying to find the measure of GML, excuse me. So I'm going to highlight it. If you are on your iPad, you can always highlight it, or you can draw it and highlight it. So I want to know that angle. So I'm going to look at what it gives me. I know my X, that's what I'm trying to find. And then I know this 30 and this 85. Well, I don't see any right angles, but I see that there's a straight line here. That's helpful. And then I know that these two angles are across from each other. They're opposite, so that means this has to be 85. And I know that straight line equals 180, so that means X plus 85 plus 30 is 180. This gives me 115 plus X equals 180. Take away 115, and X is 65. Okay? So again, looking for straight lines or right angles or vertical angles. For this next one, I see that this is a line. I know that that equals 180. That means that X plus 2/3 of X equals 180. So I know that in front of this X there is an invisible 1. So I know that 1 2/3 of X equals 180. If I have a number here beside a letter, that's multiplication. So the opposite of that is dividing by 1 2/3. So I've got 180 divided by, division, not multiplying, divided by 1 2/3. So I'm going to make 1 2/3 into an improper fraction. Multiply the bottom, add the top, 5/3. So 180 times, remember, keep, change, flip, KCF. I'm going to flip that 5/3 and make it 3/5. I get 540 over 5. If I divide that, I get 108. So our x is 108. And if you look at that angle, 108, if you look at that angle, it's a little bit bigger than a right angle, so that makes sense. So make sure your angles or your x's match up with what your angles look like. So for the bottom one, I know that these are complementary. That means they equal 90. And again, I don't have an angle measurement, so I just have to add these two expressions and solve it. So I know that these are like terms. 6x plus 6 equals 90. If I solve my equation, I get x equals 14. The last page, or the last side of your page, if I know that they are complementary and I'm not given a picture, make one yourself. I know that makes a right angle. So I have T and V. T, it tells me is 2x plus 10. V, it tells me is 48 degrees. I know that 90 minus 48 gives me 42, so that equals 2x plus 10. So if 2x plus 10 equals 42, I can find the answer here, and I get x equals 16. Okay? For the bottom one, the last one, it says find the measure of VSR. So I'm going to highlight that one. And I want this angle. So I can do it two different ways. One way, I can look at the top of this and I see that that's a straight line, and it gives me my angle that I'm looking for and 45 degrees. Well, I know that equals 180. So if I subtract 45, I get 135. So that's my angle, and that looks right. Another way I could do this, change the color for you. I could look at this corner of this square. I know that's a right angle, so that's 90. I know that this is a right angle, that's 90. But I split it, so 90 minus 45 equals 45. So this angle here is 45. So I add 90 plus 45 to get 135 degrees. Okay, so remember, anytime we're solving an angles problem, we're going to look for corners, straight lines, vertical angles. You should know what the words complementary, supplementary, and vertical mean, and how that gives you an angle measurement of 90, 180, or equal angles. Okay?